Thank you for accepting the invite. Um, so, to introduce you with our viewers, Hasvi is a 13-year-old, if I'm right, 13-year-old hardcore mountain enthusiast, trekker, mountaineer, and so much more from Hyderabad. She has done a number of expeditions with us, and at this age, she's way more experienced than one could even think of. So we thought for today's session, she'd be the perfect guest, the perfect choice. Hasvi, sorry. To start with, can you please name what all treks or expeditions have you done in the past with boots and crampons?
Sure. So first I've done EBC in April 2021, and then I've done Mount Kilimanjaro in October 2021, and then I've done a three-in-one trek in Himachal Pradesh, which consists of Mangankot, Bijli Mahadev, and Lamadog. And after that, I attempted UT Kangri winter, and then I submitted UT Kangri summer, and then I recently did the twin summits, which is Kang Yatse and Dzo Jongo.
Hmm.
I'll be doing Mount Everest in in the coming week.
Okay, so you're preparing for Mount Elbrus right now, and when are you expected to go on this Mount Elbrus expedition?
I'll be leaving on the 8th.
Okay, all right, that's pretty soon, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you think you're totally prepared for it? I guess yeah, because you've done so many climbs and you've been to number of places. So yeah, you must be ready even if you don't prepare for anything.
But
Okay.
always the key. You must keep consistency is the key. So you must keep on preparing.
Huh.
So yeah, I am still preparing.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. So we're here to talk about Kilimanjaro, but let's talk a bit about you first. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, may I ask how did you begin your mountain adventures? Like when and where did you trek first?
So to begin with, I started with the EBC, Everest Base Camp, in April 2021.
Mhm.
How I got interested in mountaineering was after watching a movie in the peak of COVID, which triggered my interest for mountaineering because
Mhm.
I we all were stuck at home during COVID, and we didn't have any other job, and then you know
Right.
this movie Everest, it triggered my interest for mountaineering, and then it made me dig
Hmm.
into mountaineering, and then that's how I got interested in mountaineering, and then that's how I went to my first expedition, which was the Everest Base Camp.
Okay, so Everest Base Camp was your first ever trek.
Right? Yeah.
Before that, you hadn't like trekked anywhere in the Indian Himalayas or anywhere. No, wow. The trekking for the first time and that too to Everest Base Camp. That's amazing. That's very commendable. Um, so it's been like only 2 or 3 years, yeah, since you started trekking.
It's been a year, almost 1.5 years now.
Almost 1.5 year. And if I ask you to count on how many treks or expeditions you've been to, it's 5 plus 6 plus, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It's uh 6 to now.
Awesome, great. So having done so many journeys in such a short span of time, what do you think separates one climb from another?
The thing that separates one climb from another, according to me, is the preparation,
Huh.
you prepare, and like how much you prepare and on what basis you prepare. Because like for example, I've done Kilimanjaro, which is like a rock.
Hmm.
So the preparation for that will
Hmm.
be a lot different from Elbrus, which is like a snowy mountain, ice covered peak. And then I've also done UT Kangri winter. So UT Kangri winter, I had to prepare a lot mentally because of the temperatures there, and the preparation there, it differs, strengthening, cardio, and So I also prepare for Kilimanjaro. I had to gain 5 kgs of weight. So that was a sort of preparation for the climb. Yeah. You're not audible, sir.
Sorry, sorry. So climbing as an activity, it sounds very fascinating, but it's filled with a lot of hassles and challenges. What challenges have you faced during your climbs, and how did you overcome them? Like the kind of challenges which you didn't expect, and boom, they're just in front of you when you're climbing.
So I'll start with Kilimanjaro. So Kilimanjaro, what
Please.
it was on the summit day, I hadn't eaten anything before the walk, or I hadn't eaten properly the day before, the day before for dinner. So and then the next
Hmm.
day morning we started around 1:30 a.m. and then I didn't have any energy to walk, so I just had to push myself a lot. So that was one of the
Hmm.
challenges that I faced, pushing myself because of not eating. And then the learning that I got from that was, basically that I need to eat. I need to eat before a climb
Hmm.
to get energy. And then it's also the other thing is that climbing is not only about summiting; it's also about returning back,
Right.
and the
Right.
that is the most important part. And then as Kilimanjaro was my first summit after EBC, I didn't know that, so I just gave my 100%
Hmm.
to summit, and then I had like 80%, only 80% of energy, to come back, and the rest 20% was like all gone. So I was
Hmm.
still wobbly and wobbly during during the descent of the climb of Kilimanjaro. So that was the challenges I faced during Kilimanjaro. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So, to be able to put so much efforts during any kind of climb, you must be really fit. You must exercise like daily, regularly. So, what sort of fitness regime do you follow? Like, what kind of exercises do you do, and do you do it on a irregular basis, or just a couple of months before any climb?
I do it on regular basis. So
Hmm.
fitness regime is basically like, I have fitness class in the morning, and then after the before the fitness class, I basically do a little fitness like that the coach says me, and then
Hmm.
after that fitness class, and then again in the evening I spend around 1.5 to 2 hours again on fitness. So to
Hmm.
maintain. And then I also do these night walks, midnight walks, because Summit Push mainly starts in the midnight around
Right.
1 a.m., 12 p.m., 12 p.m. or 1 a.m. So I basically
Hmm.
do long walks from for Kilimanjaro. I did a walk that was from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. with all
Hmm.
trekking shoes and with uh, weighted bag. So yeah, and then during the UT Kangri winter and UT Kangri summer attempts and climbs, I also walked for like 5 hours with bag with a 7 kg bag.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was the main thing other than this fitness.
Right. So you were literally preparing day and night.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So this particular, preparing in the night part, do you do that on a regular basis too, or it's done just before a couple of months before the expedition?
It's actually done.
This particular night part.
Sorry.
This particular night part, in which you
So
walk during the night. So,
done a couple of months before the expedition, like as of
uh,
expedition you're going. If it's Elbrus, like I'm going to Elbrus the next week. So I have a walk that starts at 2 a.m. in the morning, because Elbrus Summit Push mainly normally starts at 3 a.m. in the morning. Like there's
hmm,
permission after 3 a.m. to start the summit push. So I'll be doing a walk on this Sunday, morning 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So it's basically before a climb, knowing what time
hmm,
summit push starts, because night walk is mainly only for the summit push, like mainly for the summit push.
Right. So, having done EBC as your first track ever, EBC is considered a beginner to moderate level track, right? It's not too difficult, but it's not too easy at the same time. Comparatively, how did you find track to Mount Kilimanjaro? Was it really tough or it was easier?
It was tough. Keeping a point to know that Kilimanjaro was my first summit, as EBC is not.
Huh,
So
huh,
it was much tougher. It all started with the night walk, with the like
hmm,
midnight push. We started the midnight summit push at 1:30 a.m. While there was no
hmm,
like midnight walks or anything, like for EBC. But the hardest part was the summit push, and EBC is like a really long trek, and we cover equal good amount of distances every day. But in Kilimanjaro, it's just like 5 days going and coming.
hmm,
So you cover a lot of distance in less amount of time, and you need proper acclimatization for that. So
right.
that is one of.
Okay. So, yeah, and the summit push, it's just one night during the whole Kilimanjaro trek. Other days you have to you trek during the day only, right?
So the summit push, yeah, we started during the night that there's no ice melt or rock fall, any chances of ice melts or
Mm.
rock falls, because morning when the sun
Right.
rises, there's chance of ice melting, and then a lot might
Mm.
happen. So yeah, that's why we start at night, early morning. Midnight.
Right. Understood. So it was your first ever summit, Kilimanjaro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to, give it your extra bit and climb during the night also. So how did you prepare yourself mentally for it? Because as I remember, my first, summit expedition was in which I had to climb during the night. It was to the Friendship Peak, right? And I had just read in the itinerary that one day I have to climb during the night, but I wasn't really mentally prepared for it. It just came in front of me, and I had to do it. So, how did you prepare yourself for such an expedition, for such a long trek?
So, preparing myself for such a long trek, it basically has to do with um, whenever there was whenever the physical part of me was stopping, and then I had to start using a mental.
Huh.
So, mentally, I was like, I kept saying myself, that if I stop here, um, if I stop
Um,
here, I can't really inspire more among people. But then if I, live this one moment in pain, I can go up and then I can inspire more. I'll also so before Kilimanjaro, I basically sacrificed chocolates for 4 months, which was the first ever time I ever sacrificed chocolates.
hmm.
So that was the time, I was like, all these sacrifices, all the fitness I've done will go in vain, and I don't want that to happen. First ever
Right.
summit. If I my first ever summit, I can't really do the rest 6 summits. So
Uh,
what that kept me motivated during the trek. Yeah.
right. And how many hours, if you can remember, how many hours did it take for you to complete the whole ascending and descending part of the
It
summit
took
day?
it took us 16 hours. It took us longer than usual because of the weather. The weather had
Uh,
had been bad that day, so it took us a little longer. It took us 12 hours to summit and 4 to 5 hours to come down, descend.
okay. Awesome. Um, Can you share some more of your experiences climbing Kilimanjaro? Like, what should people expect in terms of views or terrain or climate or people or just just the cultural difference?
Okay, so Kilimanjaro is basically like you get to experience a lot of weather conditions, and you must get acclimated
Huh.
properly, because weather conditions was is basically like, so first if you go from the Marangu route, you first experience
Hmm.
uh, a lot of sun, a lot of sunlight. It's just like summer, and then slowly it
Hmm.
goes deforested, and then slowly gets deserted, and then it slowly becomes like the North Pole, extreme cold. So it's just like traveling from the equator to the North or South Pole, and then so you at the last part of Kilimanjaro, like the summit push, you don't get proper water, don't get proper food, and then you need to get really used to those conditions, and
Hmm.
you also experience freezing water at at the summit. So you must also get used to those, and then the cold, of course, and then the people there, though they don't know English, they are really, really
Huh.
kind. They try communicating at their best, and they help you the most. They helped me a lot during.
Right.
They motivated me. They kept pushing me, and then they all lent me their jacket during the summit push, which I'm really grateful of, which I'm really thankful
Hmm.
for. Yeah.
Right. This reminds me of the fact that the working style of the local guides, of the African guides, it's pretty different from what you get to experience in India or in Nepal. So, how was your experience in terms of that? Like, how were the African guides really,
African
being helpful to you? Also?
but amazing top class people. They are all
Uh,
they're really strong people, especially, and then
hmm.
they have a lot of experience in climbing mountains, and they also do care a lot. We also, after descending down from the summit, at the Marangu gate, we
Hmm.
had also they also danced us like in their traditional dance,
Hmm.
and then that was fun. And they also know, showed us how they made tea, and they had given us, they had actually given us the natural, like just made coffee from coffee. Then they showed us how
Hmm.
coffee is made in the village, and yeah, and then
Yeah.
they care a lot about you, and yeah, that's about it.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's their specialty. That's the
Yeah,
specialty about
like in their nature.
Kilimanjaro people. Right, right. So, one more question I want to ask you. I have read somewhere that there are different climatic zones on Kilimanjaro. Like one moment you're getting, extreme heat, and there's this, just land where no plant grows on, like nothing. You just have to walk straight, and then after a day or two, you get to see an extreme amount of snow and everything. So, can you shed some light on that? Like, what are the different climatic zones of Kilimanjaro?
Yeah, sure. So when you start, it's basically really sunny, really hot.
Hmm.
And then the second day, so from the first day, if you go from the Marangu gate, you reach the Mandara hut. From so
Uh,
Marangu gate to Mandara hut, it's really hot and really sunny, and all sweaty. It's basically like a hike,
hmm.
but
Hmm.
really sunny. And then the next day you go from Mandara hut to Horombo hut. So there, it gets a little cold, a little windy, but you can still manage the first half of it. While the second half of
Hmm.
Mandara hut to Horombo hut is totally deserted. It's like just desert, no green plants, nothing. And then after that there's a day stay at Horombo hut, and then after that Horombo hut to Kibo hut is basically like again really deserted, and then you also start getting a tinge of snow, ice, in the trek, and then last Kibo hut
Hmm.
to summit, it's totally cold, snow. You see a little snow in October, but in February you see a lot
Hmm.
of, and then it's really cold in
Hmm.
October and a lot of winds, heavy winds. Yeah.
Understood. Okay. And there are multiple routes to the top, right? Like to the summit, you can pick one among seven routes, I guess. So which one did you take and why? What's the reason? Hello.
Could you repeat your voice break?
Yeah, it's okay. I'll repeat the question. There are multiple routes to the top, right? To the summit. I guess seven routes to the summit. So which one did you pick and why?
We picked the Marangu route because it was like really scenic, and
Hmm.
and it was just like a 4 to 5 day climb, a short climb, and it was really scenic.
Hmm.
And um, going to that scenic route, you forget everything, and then you also go to Zebra Rocks where they're like black and white, naturally black and white colored rocks, which is really a
Hmm.
beautiful place for acclimatization. And then Mandara route also has huts, while the other routes have tents.
Hmm.
So Mandara route is like an
Right.
advantage. Sorry, Marangu route is like an advantage.
Yeah. So it would have been more comfortable, more convenient. Right. Understood. So did you make any friends during your journey to the top?
Yeah, I did make a lot of friends. So a couple of them are Gayatri ma'am, who was like a really good
Hmm.
motivator and she was just an inspiration. And then there was Raju
Yeah.
sir, Venugopal sir, who were like who were brothers, and the bonding between them was just really good. And then it taught me a
Hmm.
lot, and it taught me a lot. And then I also met Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, who's without whose pickles we couldn't survive. Survive.
Hmm.
We couldn't survive. We wouldn't have survived on Kilimanjaro because her pickles were the only thing that were tasting really nice. So I advise everyone to carry pickles with them, whoever attempts Kilimanjaro. And then there was also Nischay, who was like the stress buster of the whole group, and he kept cracking jokes, which kept the
Hmm.
moving. And then there was Bharat sir. Bharat sir, I was meeting Bharat
Hmm.
sir for the first time on Kilimanjaro. He was a really really good guide, and he was like on the right path, and then he kept motivating me during the
Right.
summit. And then yeah, that's about it.
Right. So with Bharatsa, you have done lot more tracks after Kilimanjaro, right? You recently did Kang Yatse II, Dzo Jongo, and is there any other track you've done with him
I did
after that?
with him in Jan.
Sorry, come again. Your voice just cracked a bit.
I actually did UT Kangri winter in January with him,
Ah,
and then
right, right, right,
did Kang Yatse and Dzo Jongo.
right. So your friends from Kilimanjaro, or let's say any other expedition, are you still in touch with them? And have you done more climbs with them, or it was just a one-time thing?
I'm still in touch with them. I recently met Gayatri ma'am
Hmm.
in Kang Yatse and Dzo Jongo summits, and then I
Um,
Vijay Lakshmi ma'am for the Everest climb, which I'm really excited. So yeah.
Yeah, understood. So your whole journey must have not been just climbing and climbing. What else was it comprised of? Like, what else did you get to enjoy during your Kilimanjaro expedition?
During the Kilimanjaro, I also got to enjoy the coffee making, the live coffee making that they made in
Hmm.
front of us. Like they took us through the whole of coffee beans to the powder, with song, like they sang songs throughout the process. And then we also visited the Serengeti National Park, where we went to the safari. So this safari was
Right.
the speciality of Serengeti safaris is basically that you
Hmm.
see animals in herds, and which is like you don't see them usually in safaris. Like seeing animals in herds
Hmm.
live is really really different feeling. And then we also got to see their speciality, which were tigers. We were fortunate enough to see
Hmm.
the the only Tanzanian tigers there. So yeah.
Hmm. Right. Okay, so that was truly one hell of a journey. Now we know that you're doing Elbrus next. Um, Apart from that, have you decided on your distant future plans? Like, what are your extreme goals as of now?
My goals as of now is I wish to be the youngest to
Hmm.
climb summit without any oxygen. So yeah,
Hmm.
I should be climbing Everest um, in 2020 April. Yeah,
Okay.
that's about it.
Yeah. So you are preparing for Mount Everest to the top of the world. In which year you're aiming to do it? 24.
24. I'm 16.
You'll be of what age by then? You'll be 16.
16, yeah. So that time I'll do
Awesome. 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 That's it. That's a really big goal. I can't even, think of it. And you are, preparing for it. Hats off to you, Hasi. Before we end this session, would you like to share some learnings with your BNC's young climbers like yourself, like who want to make it big? If you could, share something with them, your learnings, so that they could get some inspiration from you.
sure. So learnings were basically that never ever give up because you never know how close you are in reaching your goal, and so and that is it. Never give up, and failure is not the ultimate thing. There's always a comeback after failure. As they say, the setback is
Mm,
the comeback is greater than the setback. So I experienced this after my failed attempt to UT Kangri winter, and then I did hardcore fitness,
mm,
followed a hardcore diet after that, and then
mm,
have one cheat day for 7 months, and then I submitted UT Kangri again, and that was like the comeback I had, and then no, we must just remember that the comeback is greater than the setback. Yeah.
Hasvi, that this was just amazing. Thank you for joining this session today. Thank you for coming live. Um, all the best to you for your future aspirations,
Thank
for your future goals, and I hope I get to meet you someday because you have really inspired me, and I believe a lot of other people because you're being at such a young age and having done so many summits and with such big goals. Following rigorous diet and preparation chart or everything. It's just too much. Thank you so much for coming live, and I hope you make it to the Everest soon. Thank you.
you. Thank you.